When Captain America throws his mighty shield, all those who chose to oppose his shield must yield. If he's led to a fight and a duel is due, then the red and the white and the blue will come through when Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and I'm joined in studio by Mr. Sean Keenan.
Heidi's a patriot. Right on.
And also in studio, believe it or not, it is a thing that can happen. Mr. Bruce Leslie live in the flesh.
What?
I'm a prickly pear on a motorcycle. I don't know.
It might be a motorcycle. It might be, who's to say what it is? But we are in for a fun time, everybody. This week we're going to be talking about Captain America. I guess this is a made-for-TV movie, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Was this thing originally packaged as a miniseries?
It's the way, just like the Doctor Strange thing. It was like the Saturday night movie. You know how they used to do that movie of the week, and
That feels like it's supposed to go into a series.
Yes,
and we'll
exactly.
talk about why, like the Doctor Strange movie, it seems like, oh, you had a lot of plans for this, didn't you?
But they did get another try with this one, which they didn't with Doctor Strange. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, we will see.
Oh, we'll get into it, Portrais. Because I already can feel what's coming off of your end. Forget it.
Yeah, man. So we don't have any new iTunes reviews, but we do have a substitute for an iTunes review, and you'll find out why. This was from Lane Robinson. Lane writes as follows: "This review is a bumdinger because I'm too cheap to install iTunes, a free app. Otherwise, I'd give you 5 stars. I'm starting to listen to Heroes and Villains and love the insight into all the characters."
Excellent taste, Mr. Robinson.
Indeed. Especially when it focused on the more obscure characters. Well, that's certainly the place to go for that, I says. I followed Bruce over to Hero Movie Podcast, which was perfect because a podcast about superhero movies had sort of gone defunct, and I needed something to replace it. Look at that. We're replacing people that we don't even know. I love it.
Come on.
And Chubby Wizard started, and of course, I would have to add that to my queue, too. The banner is great, and the content is superb. Keep it up. Thanks, Lane. No, thank you, Lane, for writing in and giving us a 5-star review, even though it's not on iTunes. I'm going to call that a 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger!
See, you got to have that.
Do we need a bumdinger soundbite now in case we get more bumdingers? Can you do that with your bottom, Sean?
I want to
my bottom.
Keep it at PG.
I think that it hasn't been referred to as a bottom since I was in short pants.
Oh man, I've got short pants on today. I promised you guys.
Oh my God!
I would wear
what
my best short pants. I told you when the short pants entered the vernacular, I was going to wear my favorite pair to Heroes Con, so you get to see them.
You did indeed.
He's nothing if not a truth teller.
When I'm showing the knees, I'm ready to party.
I
short pants. When have I started?
I thought he was going to say, when I'm showing the knees, I'm ready to please. I don't know. Hello, everybody. Bruce is here for the party. Do you enjoy the knee view from where you're standing?
So because
it's glorious.
Let's break this down for a second, because Bruce, you have 3 podcasts.
Yeah, that's right.
And Adam, you have 3 podcasts as well. I've got 2. So between the 3 of us in this room, there's about 20 hours of content a week that hits the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy hell.
So we should start our own channel on Sirius or something.
Yeah, Sirius, hit us up, heromoviepodcast@gmail.com. Just like our friend Lane did. Lane liked it well enough. Why the heck aren't you on board?
Station Humdinger.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna get into it. Let's go ahead and play the trailer for Captain America from 1970. Either 8 or 9.
Do it.
1979.
Oh.
Your father developed and perfected the ultimate steroid. He called it FLAG, full latent ability gain. He injected himself with the serum, and it worked.
A top-secret serum gave Steve Rogers superpowers. Now he can use them to save a city from a madman with a bomb.
Finished.
If he accepts the challenge.
Be Captain America, Steve.
Sherman, Heather Menzies, Steve Forrest, and Reb Brown as the star-spangled superhero Captain America.
That's how you make a TV show, kids.
Our good friend Steve Forrest is in this movie. Didn't even know. Here's the IMDb plotline. A recipient of an experimental body enhancement chemical. That's really
that's what they used to call that sildenafil.
Retaliates against his would-be killers as a star-spangled hero. This is directed by Rod Holcomb, starring Reb Brown and probably mostly people you don't really recognize. Of course, like you recognize Reb Brown. Let's be honest. So let's get down to it. We've done a couple of Captain America movies before. Bruce, give us a little bit of info. What you got for the comic book connection here?
Well, the character John Walker was first introduced as the supervillain Super Patriot in Captain America number 323. Mark Grunwald created Walker because he wanted to counter the general message in Captain America of patriotism being invariably good, describing him as someone who embodied patriotism in a way that Captain America didn't, a patriotic villain. And here's what Grunwald had to say. Basically, I just wanted to do the opposite of Steve Rogers. Okay, Steve Rogers is a poor northern urban boy, so I'll make a guy from rural middle-class South. Cap is now old, so this guy will be a real young up-and-comer. Cap has lofty ideals, so I'll make Super Patriot be more realistic and more pragmatic. So I put together his background and character traits by playing the opposite game. Grunwald reintroduced him as the new Captain America in issue number 333, and John Walker's installation as Captain America provided a major boost to the series sales. Now in Captain America number 354, he's given another name and a costume change, this time as U.S. Agent. But who is Johnny Walker? Well, after John received an honorable discharge from the United States Army, he was told by a friend about the Power Broker, a mysterious individual who gave people superhuman abilities. Walker received treatments that granted him superhuman abilities, but left him in debt to the Power Broker. His plan to pay the man off involved joining the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation and using his winnings to pay the debt.
Yeah.
But Ethan Thumb persuaded Walker to become a hero instead. So Walker debuts as the corporate-sponsored Super Patriot, and he stages a fight in Central Park with a group of Cap supporters called Buckies. Now, Cap quietly approached Walker in private and said, hey, why don't you knock it off with the Bucky stuff? But Walker refused. He argued that his actions are justified by his quest to replace the outdated Captain America. Soon after, Steve Rogers abandons his costume and identity when he's ordered to report directly to the Commission on Superhuman Activities. The government asks Johnny Walker to take over the role of Captain America. Walker is trained by Freedom Force, the Guardsmen, and Taskmaster. He's a lot more brutal than Steve Rogers was, and his superhuman strength and lack of emotional control cause him to inadvertently beat the Power Broker, the one who gave him his powers in the first place, to death. So the role of Cap quickly pushes Walker into full-blown psychosis after bad guys kill his parents. Now, thankfully, the Commission returns the uniform of Captain America to Steve Rogers, and they hypnotize Walker and make him U.S. Agent. So you might be asking, why am I talking about Johnny Walker? What's he got to do with the 1979 film Captain America? Well, I just told you about a fictional character that called himself Captain America, but was pretty much in each and every way not Captain America. Do you see the point now, guys?
Yeah.
So say what you will about the Matt Salinger movie, but at least it had Red Skull and some super soldier serum. So in order to deal with the bizarre confusion caused by watching this movie, I've had government agents hypnotize me into believing that this movie is about U.S. Agent and not Captain America, as the title would have you believe. I'm just thankful it wasn't Roscoe Simmons.
Look, if you'd have called this U.S. Agent, it might have made sense, but this is not Captain America as we know it.
This is my not. Captain America, however. I love this movie so much I can't even tell you.
Now, here's the thing with me. I kind of am the one who recommended we talk about this movie, and I had memories of absolutely loving this movie when I was 5 years old. And I realized what I loved was Captain America 2, Death Too Soon. I don't think I'd ever seen this one before. So as I'm watching it, I'm having all these confusing moments where it's like, I remember this happening. I remember that happening. Why isn't that happening? And then I slowly started to connect the dots and realize what I like is the movie that came after this one. Because this, man, there is a lot of setup in this movie for a little bit of Cap.
I mean, did you, like, the whole time while watching this, did you just go, I remember there being, what's it called, Captain America in this movie? Because there's no Captain America. This movie is an hour and 37 minutes long. He gets into the costume at 1 hour and 14 minutes into it.
And it's not even the costume I remembered, because I remember the costume that's at the very end of this movie.
Right.
And the only thing I can think, like, the only reason you wouldn't have him wearing that costume through the whole movie is that they filmed it, and then somebody looked and said, well, that costume's lame, and they did like a pickup where they actually made the new costume, but they didn't want to go back and reshoot everything. So that's why we only have like 5 minutes of the new costume at the end.
I love it. I love the motorcycle version of Captain America. I love the new I want to be like my dad. Give me my dad's costume, Captain America. Everything about this movie is awesome, guys. There is no less than 10 different scenes of people just driving. That's what you literally are watching people driving. There's at least 3 parts where there's people standing around in a room and Steve Rogers literally just nodding his head at them for like 5 minutes.
Sean knows I don't take notes for movies. I took a couple of notes for this one.
What?
Because I had some thoughts in my head that were too good not to put down. I just had to come up with some alternate titles for this. Captain America drive stuff, because that's pretty much all he does in this movie. Another one I thought, another alternate titles, Captain America going places. And one of my favorites, and Captain America and the trip there, because that's pretty much all this movie is him going from one location to another, barely reacting to anything that's happening to him.
Now, I've also heard some people compare this movie to like an adult film that didn't really have any need for actresses. Like an all-guy adult movie is kind of the vibe that some people get from this.
There's a lot. This goes down like Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is one of those great kind of like we didn't know it, like the director, the other people that in Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 knew when they were writing it and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But the director had no clue. Where it's just like you are really making kind of a gay movie without even realizing that's what you're doing.
Well, I mean, Steve
'Cause there's a lot of
Rogers'
great
shirt off is his shirt is off. Maybe what would you say? Half the movie.
He gets like there's always a chance to like the guns are always out and blazing.
Who notices the shirt when you've got he's sporting the shortest leg pants. Like there are short leg pants that he has the shortest leg pants in this movie.
No one is going with you there, Bruce. No one calls them short-legged pants. That is not the way that works. It's never going to catch on. It's never going to happen.
But he even had Larry Bird looking at him and saying, man, those shorts are a little short, aren't they?
Now, for those of you who don't know and have never seen a picture of Reb Brown, he looks like William Catt from World's Greatest American
on
Hero.
steroids.
Meets who is the other guy? That note I didn't write down, but yeah, basically him on steroids.
The dude from Flash Gordon.
Sam J. Jones.
It's Sam J. Jones with William Catt. Except for none of the acting prowess of either of those two.
Now, I did a little. Now, this is visual for the guys who are in the studio here, but we'll put this up on the website and everything. But I figured out if we were doing this modern today, who we would, because let's be honest, Reb Brown in this thing, he's been in a lot of things, ain't exactly what one would call an actor. So he looks like, hey, I was a bodybuilder and they decided to put me in films because that's what they did in the late 70s and early 80s.
He was a USC Trojan football player.
There
That's
you
where
go.
they found him. He's in L.A.
He totally has a football.
Just a beast of a man.
And he wasn't the punter.
Speaking of which, though, so I decided to do a little craftsmanship myself and say if we were doing this movie today, Captain America would be starring Greg Olson as Captain America.
You already know that I'm on board.
It looks, it's perfect.
I'm totally on board for that.
I photoshopped a Captain America mask on the Panthers, Greg Olson, and it looks pretty darn good.
If that doesn't go on the Facebook page that I can't see, something's wrong.
It's going up there. So Facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast.
You did homework and everything, Adam.
Yeah, man,
Portrais.
I'm
I
telling
am very proud of you this
Now,
week.
my first question here when we're talking about Reb Brown, the football player, is what made them think that they needed somebody who was probably more suited to play Thor than Captain America? Like, Captain America was not robust and buff during the 70s.
Well, and here's the thing, too. I mean,
couldn't they at least get, like, who was somebody skinny in the 70s?
You heard
like,
it in
do
the
it before and after.
well, you heard it in the trailer. They're just like, we gave him like this super steroid and everything. It's like, well, this guy's pretty buff as it is right now.
The truth is, they didn't give him anything. They just told him it was all in his mind. He had the power all along.
We gave you the placebo drug.
Really? How am I able to jump 3 stories?
See, I'm worried we're rushing ahead, though, and we're going to miss an important part of the plot early on.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a plot in this movie?
How sweet is that van? I love the van.
Oh, it's
I'm
gorgeous.
sad when the van leaves the movie for a while because it's not really in the second act. But, man, how good was that van with the hockey stick-shaped stripe going up the side, man? And they used to make, like, little Hot Wheels vans that looked like that, and you could look through the bubble window in the back and see a picture in them. Do you remember those?
I totally do.
Yeah, so I love that kind of van. And it totally looks like it should have a free candy sign on the side of it.
Yeah, exactly. All I could do was just think of this while the whole thing was going down here.
I gave a girl
Because it's of the era, it's right in there, and the song's about a flipping van.
she crawled in.
Sit back here for a while, guys. I want you guys to just enjoy a little bit of Sammy Jones.
She was tired.
Get to the chorus, Sammy!
If we weren't going to speak during this is what the movie is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, so yeah, picture this.
Oh, is this that Chevy van song?
Yeah,
I love that song.
But if we would get to the, but this is all him just driving. He's just driving down the road, down the PCH, looking out of his van, just smiling
This
in a
easily
little
could have been
blank
the
look.
intro music.
Oh, totally.
It's pretty much that.
Yeah, that is the movie right
But,
there.
And I
but that's
mean,
a way better song.
The movie kind of opens with him visiting his friend that owns some kind of a store or
It's like a
surf
surf
shop.
shop.
And it's I get the idea that he just like decided now was time to stop and go to the bathroom. Like he had a friend that lived here, but he doesn't really have a plan. He's like, ever since I got out of the Army, man, I'm just gonna live in my van for a few years, drive up and down the coast and draw art. And there's a telegram waiting for him at the guy's house where he stops. Like everyone knew this is, or maybe they just sent every surf shop on the West Coast a telegram.
Look, Steve Rogers is going to be going to any number of these surf shops.
Well, I do like that the guy who's the bad guy on the A team is already waiting for him there. He's literally in a car.
Spying on him.
He's in a sedan, looking out the window, looking at Steve Rogers as he's taking his shirt off for no reason again. Going through mail. And by the way, if you want to see what someone looks like while they open a letter and read the letter, they have all of that there. No need to edit. Let's watch Steve take the letter from his friend, open it, then take the letter out of the envelope and read the letter right there.
In real time.
It is literally like 4 minutes long of watching him open his mail.
So he reads the letter that's from some guy that wants to meet with him. Plus, there's another guy that he already just kind of wants to meet with. And he's there at the surf shop, and he asks the guy, can I use your phone? And I think it would have been cool if the guy just would have said, no, you can't. And then where does the movie go from there?
Well, here's the thing, too. He goes, yes, you can. Steve turns around, and it's 2 feet away from him on a windowsill outside. So he doesn't even have to go inside of a building. He just goes, oh, thank you, turns 90 degrees to the right, and there's his phone.
I love it.
If I'm following it right, he sets up like a 6 o'clock appointment with the one guy and then a 9 o'clock appointment with the stranger. He leaves the surf shop. And he runs into just a little bit of a road hazard, right?
What in the crap is this?
Man, I love this is what was action in the 70s, man. Is a man in his van doing 360s on the Pacific Coast Highway close to a ledge. That van is going forwards, it's going backwards, it's going sideways. Next thing you know, it does a rollover off of a cliff.
But hold on a second, because the part that you're forgetting is that while all of this is happening, and he's like in this really precarious place, he's literally no emotion.
There's a look on his face.
I'm just driving.
He puts his right arm up on the seat and he looks behind him like, oh man.
You know, this tells
Spins
me
around no less than 10 times in an oil slick.
you've got to see the subtext. The subtext is this didn't just happen today. They've been trying to do this to him for months. He just assumes that all roads are like this.
These rascals
So
are
good.
at it again.
Oh, man, the
I like
road is just
I
awful.
like how he doesn't even assume people are doing it. It's just,
These
I've come
roads are
across one
terrible.
of these oily roads again.
and I mean, that is how he reacts eventually when he says, so you mean you think somebody doesn't like me? But he does a rollover in his van. I mean, he actually goes off the cliff. The van rolls over. He gets out and looks at it, jumps on the dirt bike that's strapped to the back of the van, and makes both his 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock appointment without any explanation.
Like, he flips over 4 times, and then, like, he's just rubbing the back of his neck, like, going, gosh, that's smart.
He does one of those sleeve wipes. Wipes his sleeve.
His shirt's cut in weird, precarious places. They're just like, what's going on here? What cut you?
The part about this quote movie unquote that no one has talked about so far is how it feels when you're watching this movie. There's something very calming about this movie. Where
I
Yes.
think that's called putting you to sleep.
No. There's a meditative quality that some people might like.
I love it. It really feels like
Now this I'm gonna be throwing this out there a little bit, but it kind of has a bit of that feel to it, like the scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off where they're just staring at art for about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Like nothing's happening and they're staring at art, and no matter how rough my day's been, how bad my blood pressure is, I can watch that scene and feel a little bit better for a few minutes.
It's true, man. It feels like watching this movie feels like your AC is like pumping and it feels great. It's super hot outside. And your AC is just pumping.
And you're just looking at the great California landscapes that
And
go
you-
by in your Chevy van.
And you've got a warm blanket that just came out of the dryer. Like it's literally what this movie feels
Are
like.
you saying
to
it's
me.
like the video equivalent of smooth jazz?
Yeah. This is the
It's like
Kenny
there's
G
not any-
of comic book movies.
Like you don't really know the name of any song, but you just kind of like it on in the background.
Well, We're getting dangerously close to my wheelhouse because I love West Coast jazz. I'm a huge Dave Brubeck fan. I'm not even kidding about
There you go.
this. I listen to it all the time when I'm working, and
I prefer Utah jazz.
it is.
I prefer Johnny Utah Jazz.
I like the mailman.
It's like it just feels clean to me. But this movie is not clean. This movie, there's just something very. I always say the word endearing when it comes to stuff like this, but it's endearing.
What's endearing to some
I know you guys hate
may be
it.
boring to others. We'll point that out.
Look.
The
If you
biggest
can love the Hasselhoff Nick Fury,
I love that movie, man.
I can love the Reb Brown Captain America.
I did it to myself, though. I did it to myself because I loved a movie that wasn't this one. You know what I mean? Like I totally, because it wasn't what I thought it was, I think that caused a little bit of disconnect.
I get it.
And I hope that the listeners will forgive us if we don't follow this sequentially, but I got to talk about this. The van does the rollover accident down the cliff, lands in the bush. He gets out, looks at it, jumps on his motorcycle. What are we saying? 30 minutes later, when the motorcycle runs off the road, it explodes.
It explodes.
In a fury of fire.
Like from an episode of The Simpsons, it just goes off and explodes.
What it reminds me of is actually Toonce is the driving cat. Is what this reminds me of. Because not only does it flip over 1,000 times, but then it explodes because it doesn't feel right if it doesn't explode at the bottom. And I don't know about you guys, but
Seems anticlimactic just lying there.
While it was going down, I literally thought to myself, "There's no way that motorcycle doesn't explode when it hits the bottom." I literally called it.
And then the van held up remarkably well. I need to get one of those vans.
He basically, all he had to do was because he looked at the tires, he's like, crud, tires are busted, gonna take the dirt bike. All he had to do was replace the tires. Everything else in that van
and
just had a little bit, and go through the car wash once.
Some people carry a spare tire. I like it that Reb Brown carries a spare vehicle, because that would have got me out of so many tight points in my life if I had a dirt bike strapped to the back of my car.
Hey, on Thursday, it's a go-kart.
It's like, I'm not going to wait for the ambulance. I'm not going to wait for the tow truck. I'm just going to jump on the dirt bike and keep both of my afternoon appointments.
It feels a little bit like Mario Racing.
He's nothing if not punctual, that Steve Rogers. That's what we always knew. Fights for America and will keep his appointments at all costs.
Now, he goes to his first appointment, which is with the guy whose wife he thought she died in a plane crash, but she's really been kidnapped or something.
Something like that.
Like a friend. I don't even know why this Jeff guy, I'm making up a name. I'm not sure if it's even Jeff, but I don't know why the first guy even knows Steve Rogers. Maybe it was a friend of his dad's, but the scientist guy is also a friend of his dad's. So I
Yes.
can't keep it straight.
Yeah.
So he goes to the first appointment. I don't really pick much up from that. Then he goes to the second appointment, and don't you think for a minute we're not going to talk about the super strong guinea pigs or the weightlifting rats or whatever those animals
so
were.
good.
That might be the high point of the movie is the weightlifting rats.
If I can go backwards though, because his friend that he goes to first is the one where they're looking for the film, right?
Yeah, he's drawing pictures of a neutron bomb, which Jimmy Carter was very much opposed to the neutron bomb, so I blame this movie for him not getting reelected, and that's why we had President Reagan in 1980.
Well, that's the best conspiracy theory I've heard yet, I think.
Reb Brown for Reagan. They were both from California.
So here's the here's the part about that scene that I love so much, and we talked about it off air earlier today, is that his friend's place gets tossed. The phone line is cut because Steve tries to use the phone in his office. Phone doesn't work. So Captain America literally goes to the next room to use the phone in the other room because the phone line was only cut in the one room.
Well,
that is look.
You got to cut the main line to the house.
I've never tried to flip a house looking for film or anything like that before. I would think 101 is you cut the entire phone line to the house, not just the phone in the room that you're flipping looking for
As we
film.
all know, the second you leave a room, all of your memories from that room escape from your skull.
It's so great that
It's like that Men in Black neuralizer. The second you walk out of a room, it's all gone. Oh, what about? Well, time to go home.
I literally laughed out loud when that happened because he tries the phone and the phone doesn't work. So he leaves the room and uses
with the dying
phone
man.
in the
With the
other
dying
room.
man.
And
Yeah.
the thespian that he is on that phone just, hey.
And I also like it that this nebulous corporation that we'll find more out about as the movie goes along, that they have this grand scheme of acquiring the plans, building and using a neutron bomb, but they just send one guy with a gun to rough the man up. Like they don't have like an army of people to send in.
And even that one guy, he's like an old Italian guy. He doesn't even look like he's in the best of health. Like if Steve were to bolt, there's
Yeah.
no way this guy is going to be able to catch him
No.
in a foot race.
Oh, it's like they sent the guy that played Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein from Everybody Loves Raymond. They sent like him to get the information.
Look, man.
Put on the Ritz, everybody.
Look, I know that I'm complaining about this movie because it's
Peter
just,
Boyle.
It's just more fun to complain about this movie. This movie is so fun.
I
love
man.
this movie
I
so
don't know
much.
if any of those words I would put into this.
Now
I love
let's-
this movie so much, man. Like, there's not what like. Look, there's a van. There's a van that's got a rocket-powered motorcycle in the back of it. For God's sake!
Utilized much better in the sequel, so we're going to have to review that sequel.
Oh man,
But I
I'm
feel-
down
I've
for
got it. I paid $4 for the DVD that had both movies. I think I may have
totally down
overpaid.
for it.
I
Let's
feel like
see
you
it.
guys are trying to derail my superpowered rat talk because I wasn't done with that yet.
I'm
No,
Sorry,
please,
go ahead.
please. Oh no, please.
First
You
off,
have the floor,
Do
Mr.
either of you
Leslie.
guys know? I feel like Flowers for Algernon had to come out before this did. Because I
Probably.
think this is the Captain America version of Flowers for Algernon, where the rat gets super smart and then they give Charlie the serum and then he sees the rat get dumb and he knows he's going to get dumb again.
Oh no.
So they tell him, oh, look at what these mice can do. And he said, wow, that's awesome. Then the guy goes, oh, then they die.
He's like, by the way, they just go out and, whatever.
And then now this is when Steve really learns about his dad, because I get the idea that either he loved his dad or he was an orphan. Like he kind of goes back and forth between those two here.
You knew my father?
But
that
they-
sounds like a really good
Did I hear them say that he actually made the flag? They're not using super soldier serum. They actually made the flag from his father's glands. So is it like his dad was just that manly and musky? Because that's why that kills the rats. They're not compatible
We've
with it
got,
because it came from his father's glands.
We got some of your dad's essence here. We've been putting it in rats.
Well, this is the thing, right? This is the same problem with the second series of Spider-Man movies, where Spider-Man is like Peter Parker himself is extraordinary because the serum works specifically with his
yeah,
DNA,
exactly.
right?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
And that was the part where literally we threw our hands up in the air and we're like, you are completely betraying this character. And I did not have that same sense of anger when I was watching this movie because, it's hard to get mad at a movie where the guy is like, oh, I'm Captain America also because I got this motorcycle helmet with an A on it.
Now, but they're telling him about his dad, and they're saying that he made it from his own glands, and that's why it doesn't work for the rats very long before it kills them. But then they also, and I really felt like I heard the guy say that, yeah, your dad was such a patriot that everybody called him Captain America, but it was like a derogatory name,
right.
like almost ironic, like, oh, there's Captain America.
Look at him trying to be all...
So I'm picturing his dad almost as like a scientific Hank Hill, like he's just all about America there.
Let me tell you, Mr. I'm the most American person here today, but I need some things for... Get this super juice out of my glands.
Then at the end of the movie, though, he says, I want to wear the same costume my dad wore. So now I'm picturing his dad as like a mid-level government employee going to work every day in that Captain America. There's a little inconsistency there about was his dad a superhero or just a really gung-ho agent that they nicknamed Captain America?
What's the point? Because now again, we're jumping all over the place. But first of all, let's backtrack slightly because it will dovetail into what I'm going to talk about. Steve Rogers is an artist.
Yes, he is.
He sits down by the bay there and starts painting lovely sceneries and whatnot.
He's not a painter. He's a sketch artist.
Whatever. It's all the same
And you
crap.
notice he's drawing a picture of a little boy at one point, and if a guy in that van starts drawing a picture of my son, I'm going to have words with him.
Excuse me. No. But here's the thing. So he eventually designs his own suit, more or less.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. The picture that he hands the guy, let's assume then that the suit that he's looking for is going to be for him.
Yeah.
Why does the guy he draw look all super skinny?
I wonder.
Where are the arms? You got giant shoulders, man. Where are you at in this picture? You don't even know what you look like.
I almost wonder if they just gave like Jack Kirby $35 to draw a picture of because Reb Brown's not drawing anything.
No, Reb Brown looks like he can barely hold a pencil, much less do any writing or drawing.
Well, later on, he can't hold the pencil.
It's true.
That's the reason he didn't want super strength. Is now he breaks his pencils when he tries to draw.
One of the things that we haven't talked about yet either is the soundtrack to this movie. There is one guy on a Casio keyboard, and he is killing it. He is killing it.
So you're saying he's like the Jimmy Carter era Hans Zimmer there?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, exactly with the wah, but with a Casio keyboard.
Oh man.
And one of the things at the beginning of this movie, because I wrote it down and I forgot to mention it at the top of the thing where he's talking to his friend who owns the surf shop, is that his friend's like, so what are your plans, Steve? And Steve literally says, I don't want to look forward to weekends. I want every day to be the same. Really find myself. And that's how we meet Captain America for the first time.
Now, also, I kind of wonder because they call it flag. They don't call it super soldier serum. They sort of separate themselves from they do say that he was in the military, but when he got out, he wanted to be an artist and stuff. And I kind of wondered, and we even talked about this earlier today, Sean, like, did they not have the rights to use anything? But it turns out, from what I understand, what I read, that CBS ordered them not to be too much like the comics. Like, they were ordering them to be as far from the comics as they could. And I got to say, on that count, they didn't do a half bad job.
Yes, you did not adhere to 99.9. Outside of the name Captain America and Steve Rogers, you pretty much made up whatever the heck you wanted.
Although I got to tell you that now that we have these characters in the canon, I do want to see Dr. Sam Mills make a comeback and be in the comic books, because this is a character that doesn't exist anymore.
Where was he in Civil War?
Exactly. Where is Dr. Simon Mills?
Russo brothers, if you do not put in some sort of, oh my gosh, what an amazing Easter egg.
This character does not exist in movies anymore because, as we were talking about earlier today, he is a scientist. He works for the government. His boss is his only boss is the president of the United States.
The president.
Yeah.
That's literally he has no government agency at all. He can talk to the CIA, the FBI. He could talk to the Food and Drug Administration if he wants to.
I got it open to a policy.
It's so it is something that is so lacking from movies now, where it's like, look, we just need a guy, like a smart guy on this thing. Let's have it be the same guy.
Now I want to go back to the exploding motorcycle,
Yeah.
Because it's this exploding motorcycle crash that finally injures him to the point that they give him the flag, which isn't super soldier serum for whatever reason.
Definitely not.
But, it looks to me like I would imagine first responders would come, like an ambulance. I don't know, maybe the fire department.
They scoop him up and put him in the back of some other van and then brag
like he is not in a hospital. Do we agree that he's not in a hospital?
Definitely not in a hospital.
Hospice care at best.
So if he's not in a hospital, so they say that he's lost so much blood he's going to die. The only way to save him is to give him the flag. But I kind of wonder if he'd went to a hospital, maybe he wouldn't have been that bad off.
Look, Dr. Simon Mills needed to give him the flag serum.
And I think it's fair to say that if they did take him to a government research facility to give him this top secret rat enhancement serum that they made from his father's glands, that it wouldn't be public knowledge where this lab was, but he gets kidnapped by the bad guys from the non-hospital room, right?
Oh,
and taken
good.
taken to a meat factory. Like I'm expecting the old Rocky scene, punching the meat.
That scene clearly came about of well, we have access to this.
Yeah.
What should we? It's a production value of some sort.
And I gotta tell you, it's one of the best things in this movie is seeing meat super thrown at the bad guys.
And once he finally got
they just pile up at the end of the cooler there.
So good.
It is just so
and
cartoonish.
Once he got his Captain America flag enhanced abilities, a full latent ability. What was the G again? I don't know. Anyway, did you notice the sound effects anytime he would jump, anytime he would use his super strength?
Yes.
What does that sound effect come from?
I have no idea.
It's the $6 million man.
That's what I was thinking.
But it's like a knockoff version of that.
Well, I don't
It's
even
the
know.
Kmart version
I don't
of the
even know if it's a
$6 million man.
knockoff because the director of this directed a good many $6 million man episodes.
It's funny you bring that up because doing the research for the show, 90% of the people who made Captain America worked on $6 Million Man.
So
Or
that goes
another
to show
show.
that Lee Majors must be a better leading man than Reb Brown because that actually stuck around for a long time and this didn't.
I got to tell you, I think that has a lot to do with it because there's something about Lee Majors that when you're watching $6 Million Man, because it has the same feel to it, both of those shows.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely,
But
man.
there's something about Lee Majors where you're like, oh man, that guy's awesome.
Hey, he's the fall guy.
Well, that's when he starts losing his mind
Well,
and he looks a little bit like William Shatner at that point.
But a much better theme song.
way better. But the $6 Million Man, there's something inherently cool about that show where there's not that cool factor is missing from Captain America. And I really believe it has to do with the lead because Lee Majors was awesome in the 70s.
Yeah.
Reb Brown is not awesome in the 70s.
Reb Brown barely looks like he's coherent throughout most of this movie. He looks like he is just
he might not be.
lost.
And
in
how
a
the heck does he
fog.
get his birth name, his given name is not Reb. The guy's from L.A. How do you get a nickname like Reb when you're from L.A.?
You don't know how to spell well enough.
I think it's a great moniker to be an actor because Reb Brown, when you look up IMDb and you go and you just type in Reb, I think his thing
Top of the food chain,
I think
baby.
He's the first thing that comes up. That
So
guy
I
hasn't
think-
worked in 25 years.
I think he just had the foresight to know that 40 years after this movie's made, there'll be something called IMDb, and I want to be the only Reb.
I don't think that's the case.
I am from the future.
I don't think
and
that's
I
the
tell
case.
you that there is this thing called the Internet Movie Databases.
But look, man, working in movies, I'm the first Sean Keenan that comes up. I'm Sean Keenan 1 for IMDb. But there's a kid who's an actor from Australia whose name is spelt the exact same way, and he has done a hell of a lot more than I have, but he is not the first Sean Keenan who comes up. I guarantee you that if I were to go into if I were to go back into acting and try my hand at that again, I would not be able to use my own name anymore because that kid's got it. And to have a name like Reb, where people are like immediately like, oh hey, Reb Brown, yeah, I know Reb Brown. We're tossing around Reb Brown like we knew who he was.
like that's a name that means anything to anybody.
Right, but we know what we mean when we say the Reb Brown Captain America. We're not saying Captain America 1979 because it's like, what one is that again? The Reb Brown Captain America. You know instantly what that means.
Yeah. I'm thinking Reginald Keenan. What do you think, Bruce?
I think I Skyped that Sean Keenan in Australia by accident once.
Oh, really?
Oh man, so we get him with his powers, And then he gets revealed to him that we've built you this motorcycle.
Oh, this motorcycle.
And
Hell
here's
yeah,
what I
that
like.
motorcycle. Don't say it where you got the sigh in your voice.
This is
jerk.
1979 when they have got to fill from 8 till 10 when the kids go to bed. So we're going to have him, or we're going to have the stunt man, let's be honest, because that guy rides the motorcycle pretty darn well.
But here's the thing. You look at it, and it is just like, because Reb Brown's a big dude.
Yeah. But they have
That
the
is
stunt man. They
not the
say,
cat
okay,
riding this bike."
Can you give us a good 12 minutes of riding the motorcycle on the beach? He says, I can do it, but it'd be easier if there were randomly some ramps set up on the beach.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he's just riding that motorcycle out in the middle of nowhere, and then there are big ramps that are very specifically built for a motorcycle
But
put up
here's
there.
the thing. One of them, like, one of the big things, the jump isn't even all that big.
What are you talking about?
That's an
First of
awesome
all,
jump. Now,
first-
that's one thing I won't complain about. The motorcycle stuff, the stuntman is a good... Now, this is a real motocross guy riding this.
Absolutely.
Now, no, look, I'm saying.
When you see that motorcycle for the first time, when that thing is in the back of the van, I want to see two things. I want to see motorcycle flying out of the back of that van. Delivered.
Ding.
On that. Two, I want to see that. I want to see that motorcycle going off some sweet jumps. Bam! 2 for 2, baby.
No, I had a third thing. I want a guy in a helicopter firing a shotgun at him.
Absolutely. I didn't even know I wanted it. They just delivered it to me.
Where did this guy show up from in the helicopter?
And man, that's
From the oil company.
that's a big budget item, isn't it? In 1979,
Company are back.
weren't helicopters really big? Like that's how you knew this was a big production. Like Magnum PI had the helicopter.
Here's
Yes.
the thing, though, man. Like, the helicopter flying in this is pretty good.
It is good.
They're like, they seriously know what they're doing.
But
in
the
this thing.
shotgunning not so good. The shotgun shooter's not very good.
They spent all the money on the driver on the pilot. They did not spend any on the marksman. He
Now-
does a horrible job.
And let's he's riding his dirt bike. He's doing the sweet wicked jumps that just happened to show up.
Man, it's
then all of a
been
sudden,
awesome.
out of nowhere, the guy in the helicopter starts shooting at him at the shotgun, and he jumps from the motorcycle to the helicopter.
Cool.
Which
awesome.
I'll admit,
And
I like
think,
that.
I think in Civil War, the scene where Steve Rogers is wrestling with the helicopter was an homage to this
Chris
movie.
Evans comes in and goes, guys.
We got to get the Reb Brown helicopter.
I've got
fight.
an idea.
But anyway, now I'm not talking $1979. Let's just talk modern day dollars.
Okay.
That motorcycle with all those unnecessary switches, the jet power, the custom paint job. How much do you think that would cost in today's dollar? That's a $100,000 motorcycle, right?
Easily.
And he just jumps off of it, and nobody knows where it goes. And he doesn't say anything about it until later when he goes, I lost my bike. And he goes,
Yeah.
don't worry, we had some men get it for us.
Yeah, I ditched the bike. He said.
It is, yeah, because it's so just like, I don't know where it went to. It went off to someplace.
And more talk about this bike, man, because one thing that I did like about this, which I remembered from the sequel, but it's the same thing, I liked the way the shield integrated to the motorcycle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was like a fairing / shield. I liked the way it looked. I thought it looked better than, I mean, it's still a Frisbee shield, but at least they made it clear and it's plexiglass and you can go with it instead of like the Matt Salinger Frisbee shield that we're supposed to believe is made out of vibranium or whatever. They don't even go down the vibranium pathway here. They know that's too much.
I love how like Homeboy goes, it's quite the deadly weapon, and then he throws it, and it's just like you're throwing a frisbee.
Now, this is
at the
Plan
beach.
9 from outer space. That is Plan 9 from
Totally.
outer space UFO
Totally.
flight.
It is just kind of just like it's not zipping through. It's just kind of coasting through the sky and everything.
It's a good minute and a half in the air before it
Comes back to him, and he's
sea.
just like, "How about that? I just picked up this giant cereal bowl out of the sky. Enjoy it."
That is the worst shot of the movie, man. The shield in flight. But back to the
Because
motorcycle.
it's totally bulletproof. It looks like it is made out of the flimsiest, cheapest plastic.
Now back to the motorcycle. It's got a stealth mode. You can switch it to stealth and you can't hear
He
it.
must have said whisper mode 15 times in this movie.
Now, why not just have that be the default?
Well,
like,
that-
why not say for some reason you want a loud sounding motorcycle? Push the loud button. Like, let's keep it quiet.
we talked
People
about
are trying
this-
to sleep here.
We talked about this earlier. What is the virtue of having it run like a normal ass motorcycle where it like just makes motorcycle noise? Why don't you have it be whisper quiet all the time?
you know why? Because you got to let them know that doom is coming.
Oh, I see. It's
It's the music in Apocalypse Now. They just know that death and destruction
it's
is on its
Tombstone.
way.
I'm coming and I'm bringing hell with me.
Exactly.
I got you.
Or maybe you're trying to impress chicks.
Or yeah. You can't be rolling down in front of like the skating rink on a Thursday night and spin out some wheels with a no motor sounding motorcycle.
I used to ride a 50cc scooter, and I really wanted a button to make it sound like a Harley on occasion.
I put a couple cars in the spokes and we're off.
But yeah, I don't understand why the default isn't like, I can understand you don't want the rocket on all the time because you might have to go around a curve.
Yeah.
But I don't see the drawback to just always having it quiet unless it cuts down on fuel efficiency. They're like, when you're just cruising down the road, let it be loud. It gets better mileage than when you get to half a mile, the guy you're trying to sneak up on.
We gotta go in. It's a weird muffler thing. Really, just eats away at the gas. I mean, I know it's 1979 and it's a nickel for a gallon of gas, but nevertheless,
If we learned anything from the TV show Street Hawk, and we've learned a lot from that show. Let's be honest, it taught us a lot of lessons. The main lesson is just have the bike be quiet. That's all you need.
I would say this is about 2005. Let's just say. So how many years ago is that now? 11 years? So
11.
We'll say 10 for a good round number. I was talking to my dad, and, he's a motorcycle guy. He used to have a motorcycle, and he mentioned, I've got a guy gave me a Captain America helmet just like the one in the movie. I was like, no way, I've got to have that helmet. So the next time I went over to his place, he goes to get it, and it's the Peter Fonda helmet from Easy Rider. Oh. And I'm like, I'm the only guy on earth who hears that and doesn't think Easy Rider. but he shows it to me. He's like, here, you want it? And I go, yeah, of course I want it, but it's not what I thought it was going to be.
Oh,
but
I
kind of like the integrating the helmet into the costume. I thought it was a practical way to do it, and I think it looked better than whatever kind of wings they would have put on his ears.
Here's the big thing, though. Completely. It's like, and one of the reasons I think they, like, outside of his genuine acting ability, why they got Reb Brown in this, because that helmet is gigantic.
It is. It's massive.
It is, and on a normal-sized person's body, it is going to look like he's the Great Gazoo. Like, because he's just way too, but he's big enough to where it doesn't look as ridiculous as it would on a person who would be, of normal stature.
Well, I promise you, if I wore it wouldn't look ridiculous at all, because I'd love to have that helmet. If anybody can send me one, I can give you my email. Just email me the helmet.
Yeah. Send an email with a good attachment.
Now, once we get to this pulse-pounding climax, let's go ahead and talk about the climax.
I love it so much. So go ahead.
Literally pulse pounding. So
set it up.
Oh, I did wanted to mention how, because we do see him on the bike and everything, and I love how right away we get to the point where you can see a zipper down the back of his costume.
Now,
it is just sad.
That costume. Who thought that was a good costume? I mean, not the one he has at the very end.
He designed it.
But other than him, because that thing is like, honestly, it is a little Evil Knievel. Was Evil Knievel big in '79?
Yeah, enormous. He's one of the biggest stars in the world.
The Evil Knievel motorcycle that you pulled the ripcord out of looked a lot like Cap's motorcycle.
And it's funny you should bring that up, Bruce, because that is literally what it brings to mind when you see him in the motorcycle costume.
And he's doing
Captain
sweet
America.
jumps. I mean,
he's definitely
absolutely. Don't you make that face, Portrais? It's awesome. Shut up.
He's definitely got 70s go down to the carnival and see a Daredevil kind of uniform rather than superhero uniform until the very end. Yeah. But anyway, he's got that uniform on.
He jumps over the thing like in The Simpsons where he jumps over the thing with a shark and then rides back up and falls back in and the shark eats him.
Oh, man, want
that to happen in this movie.
What's the Andy Samberg movie? That's
Hot Rod?
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling here, the little Hot Rod vibe. But anyway, so let's talk about physics to understand.
That's what this movie
these climax.
It's a physics lesson.
We got to talk about physics because there's a real thing that was kind of a political buzzword in the 70s, a neutron bomb. And the idea is the neutrons would sort of destroy living things. Like it would make you not live anymore, but it wouldn't make a building collapse.
Right.
So it was the whole idea behind a neutron bomb, and Jimmy Carter kind of vetoed development of the neutron bomb, and I don't know that anyone ever completed it. But the whole idea is if we're dropping a nuclear weapon, it's for self-defense, and it's not so we can go in and still have their city in perfectly good condition and not have the fallout and everything. Like a safer bomb was deadlier is the argument. But here, they want a neutron bomb so that they can kill all the people, go in and take the gold. Through some plot device, they have the option of getting $1 billion worth of gold, but instead they're going to go after $100 million. I never quite understood that.
Nor do I.
And the main bad guy, has a detonator hooked to his heartbeat, which, I mean, I guess he really knew that somebody was going to try to kill him. But the thing is, if you die and the bomb goes off, what are you going to do with the money? You already. I don't get any of this.
I love how he's also sitting in the back of the semi just reading.
And I like the way that Captain America does what is absolutely the most red, white, and blue American thing ever, and he gives somebody carbon monoxide poisoning.
Pretty great. Pretty great.
He just bends the tailpipe from the big rig into the compartment where the wealthy billionaire's riding in the back of a semi for some reason.
I
with
love
the dead man switch on his chest.
Oh, it's so good, and I love the cutting and the editing of this scene, because he clearly takes one of the stacks from the back of the rig to put it into the box of the truck so that he can give the bad guy carbon monoxide poisoning. Then cut to outside the truck, looking at it head on. Nothing has happened to the stack that he moved to put into the back of the truck.
But he climbs up and does a sweet dive into the cabin, man.
It is awesome.
What should be, because if this guy dies, then the detonator goes off and the bomb goes off. So what should be the climax of the movie? Like if this was Batman 66, they would know you have a timer and you have Batman trying to defuse the bomb while Robin gives him instructions, and Robin doesn't know whether it's the red wire or the blue wire, right? That's the trope.
Yeah.
So that has you excited. Like, is he going to get it? Is he not going to get it? But here, it's just everybody step aside, let this supporting character put an ambu bag over the guy's face and give him some oxygen, and let's hope he comes back alive. Yay, we saved the day, I guess.
It's so weird. And what kind of heart monitor just has like 5 lights that go left to right?
Well, that's the neutron bomb heart monitoring switch. They've discontinued that.
It's specific.
Now they use a Fitbit for that. But you got to think, the movie is called Captain America. Reb Brown is allegedly the star of the movie. And in the climax, you have some guy that we've kind of seen a little bit who mainly does exposition say, get out of the shot.
He is literally the exposition
I'm going to stand
machine.
here and hold this ambu bag and sort of squeeze it. And that's going to be
I don't even know that. I was just like, shouldn't you be doing the thing to the other part of that
like, at least
medical
have
device?
him do a little CPR. You know, you could get a little ER into it. You know, if you're going to have some action, don't have him just sit there and quietly administer oxygen. At least have him come in with a big thump to the chest and doing chest compressions and mouth to mouth. Because this movie really set me up for some mouth to mouth.
It would have warranted it at one point or another. But the thing is that he goes like I never even saw him like pumping the little bag on that thing, because I'm like just going, you're covering up his airways and just letting him lay there and die.
And also, carbon monoxide poisoning on the bad guy is the most unsatisfying way to beat the bad guy.
Did he punch him right in the kisser? No, he like had some bad gas and kind of passed out a little bit. Didn't quite die, but
this is like where they fumbled it at the 1 yard line.
Yeah,
they really fumbled it at the 1 yard line here.
If they would have had like a really satisfying like Last Boy Scout type of ending for this
even
guy,
a Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., David Hasselhoff type ending, I would have been okay with it.
How dare you? But and I know what you're doing there. I love this movie, and look, it seems like I'm fighting for this movie every step of the way here because I just love it so much. But there is something wholly unsatisfying about the end of this movie.
And then we get that the epilogue, the denouement, if you want, the epilogue, where he says, "If I'm going to be Captain America, I'm going to wear the exact same uniform my dad did," which. Once again, for all I know, the way they talked about him before, I thought he was an over-enthusiastic postal worker.
Yeah,
they called Captain America.
Like he was going to look like the NASA guys in the offices with the short sleeves.
They said they based the uniform on his picture, so why didn't he draw the picture of his dad then? But I guess they didn't say, hey, we're going to make this a uniform. It was like it was going to be a surprise, and they didn't realize that was the rough draft.
I like how it's also like handed to him in a J.C. Penney's like just one of those little cardboard boxes that you put a sweater in.
That's funny.
Funny you should say that, because look what we made. But that totally feels to me like somebody at CBS watched it and said, that uniform is awful. Give him an actual Captain America uniform, but you can't reshoot anything. Just do this extra minute at the end.
It does feel like that. And you know what was really unsatisfying also, not just the ending to this movie. I looked up to see if I could find some toy with Reb Brown in the Reb Brown costume of him on the motorcycle. There's nothing.
Yeah, Star Wars hadn't hit at that point, so they really didn't know how to really tie it all together. proper.
It's
I mean,
79.
well, no, I mean like the deluge that
I
would
see,
come later.
I
I,
see.
mean,
But I'm
essentially.
surprised that like Sideshow Collectibles hasn't made something.
Yeah,
Hot Toys.
man. Yeah,
you know?
I would totally buy a hot toy. I haven't bought a toy in like 15 years for myself. I would
You know
totally
what?
buy a Reb Brown toy.
I bet I know some folks that do custom figures where you could probably just get like a He-Man Masters of the Universe figure and they would paint the 1979 Captain America costume on it and put a little football helmet
Here's
on
what you do: you get. I like this road. You get the Masters of the Universe. You pop the head off. You put on a William Cat head. Paint them up and everything. Done and done.
You know what? I want to suggest.
Sean, I think you got your Christmas present coming.
I don't know where you're getting the William Cat toy. Where is that coming
Greatest
from?
American Hero
Just
doll, man. It
with
was
his
nice.
head.
It was the size of a Barbie. I had one.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't have one, but they did exist.
I didn't know
It's like
that.
we were- I don't know.
They certainly make hot toys of Greatest American Hero now, I'm sure.
There you go.
Why haven't they made that movie?
They're trying.
They were working on a new series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think for El Rey or something like that.
What?
It's a bad idea for all around.
Just let it live peacefully where it was. But
No. I think "Let It Die" is what we.
I
It's the real
kinda-
phrase we should be using.
But watching this and watching Reb Brown's delivery and then just kind of the physique and the hair color, I kind of think Reb Brown might be the American Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, man, that's a good point.
I like that.
And then what if we had a great like
Same acting level.
circa 1987 would have been the time when they could have worked together, hot
Yeah.
off Rocky 4.
Yeah.
We could have had like a Punisher Captain America movie with the two of them and no dialogue.
Heaven.
Okay. I'm down. I'm actually down for that.
That would be awesome.
Let's make it happen. So yeah, like I said, there's no big ending to this. He just kind of pumps a little bit of oxygen in him, and look, he's fine. We've saved the neutron bomb. La di da.
Tune in next week
Tune
to
in
see
next
further adventures of CPR.
By the way, the show's now been canceled. So let's find out how this movie relates back to our good friend Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, thank you, Adam. I happen to have a prepared statement.
Okay.
Let's all listen to Huey Lewis for a few minutes and go back in time. Let's go all the way back to 1973. NBC had a show that ran Sunday nights, which had a hilariously antiquated title called the NBC Sunday Mystery Movie. It was an anthology series that would have two different crime-solving capers. Sorry, let me start that over. It was an anthology series that would have different crime-solving capers, and two different detective shows came from that project, Columbo and Quincy. For those of you that might not have heard of might have heard of Columbo, I am all over. I'm portraising like crazy tonight. For those of you that might have heard of Columbo but never watched the show, each week Peter Falk played Detective Columbo, a disheveled, shabby cop that pretends to be half a moron so we can get to the bottom of some major crime solving. I haven't watched the show since I was a child, but from what I remember, it seemed like the oldest, most boring show ever made. Well, that and Quincy, which was sort of like an older, more boring version of Dr. House. The last time I watched Quincy was so long ago, I think I might have just learned how to go to the bathroom by myself. So if you're looking for deep insight into Quincy, look elsewhere, buckaroo, because you're not going to find it here. The reason why I bring all this up is that it started a sort of TV show detective arms race. Because, yes, there had been detectives on TV before, but these were new. This was a new kind of police detective. They had big personalities. And in the middle of the arms race in 1973 came the television show Kojak. Having only watched the show for maybe a total of 30 seconds, I went to the most reliable source we have for information, the IMDb user review section. And today's review comes courtesy of someone who calls themselves Winston FG.
Ooh, sounds like legal.
Winston FG writes, "This guy was rude, bald, and probably a nightmare to work for. We all thought it was real cool for a while. I think if I had been on the receiving end of a Crocker or Stavros, I'd have probably ended up with some sort of complex. But it worked well. And in between, the show managed to tackle some serious issues. I remember it as one of the first shows out of the U.S. where the good guys didn't always win. Towards the end, it started to get a bit preachy. But by then, I moved on to Starsky and Hutch. So I didn't have to put up with it.
God bless Huggy Bear.
Oh, it's so good. The first few seasons, that was definitely one of the best cop shows on TV. Winston FG, Thank you for being you. Thank you for being honest and having your unedited opinion. I'm glad there's people out there who are completely happy to admit they never missed a minute of Starsky and Hutch. Awesome. Now, Reb Brown, Captain America himself, had a guest appearance on Kojak where he played the role called Furniture Man.
Talk about a superhero.
Again, I've never seen the performance, but you have to think it's a fairly small part if they didn't even bother to give his character a name. Deductive reasoning would bring anyone to the conclusion that Reb Brown's character was probably dealing with some sort of household item, but without actually seeing the show, I can't be certain what kind. And you know who else was on Kojak, guys? Liberace. Seriously, and as much as I want this segment to be called the Liberace Connection, it isn't. And that's why it should come as no surprise that there was also a guest star who I have no doubt has stuffed his pants on multiple occasions, Sylvester Stallone. Stallone was a complete unknown when he mastered the role of Detective Rick Daley, a cop that made some mistakes, and Kojak gives him the dang business. The 70s were a weird time when damn near 60-year-old men who drank too much and never worked out could bow up on a 20-something roided-out health nut and there would be no repercussions. The only reason to watch these shows mentioned today is to see incredibly famous people playing very small roles and to watch television at a time when it didn't matter if you were good-looking or in shape or even a good actor. All that mattered was that you were available and you owned a phone. So there you have it, HMPers. This week's Stallone Connection. Now, Klugman and Falk, let's rate this weird little movie so I can get back to my weird little girlfriend.
I was always,
baby.
I was always partial to Rockford Files.
That's another part of the arms race.
They had a great car, a Camaro without a spoiler.
It's weird. Kojak is all in this thing, and I can only think of the Players Club
That's right.
stuff that he did and everything.
Right.
All right, everybody, let's get down to it. It is time for the patented Robin rating system. Bruce, where does Captain America 1979, Reb Brown's Captain America, if we're frank about it, he should get his name above the title.
I'm going to be honest. This is not the best Captain America movie we've seen.
Really?
Now, not only is it's not the best one we've seen, personally, I'm pretty sure it's not the best Reb Brown Captain America, because I think I kind of hinted before that I really thought I was going to be watching Captain America 2, A Death Too Soon, which is, when I grew up, the only Captain America movie. I'd never seen this one before.
Why do you think they want to put this one on the shelf, I wonder?
Now, this does have some fun things to watch. It's one of those, like, you're not going to believe this. You got to, it's like Doctor Strange level. So it is a Jason Todd, okay? It is a Jason Todd, but it's the kind of Jason Todd that I will get people to watch the way I've done with Doctor Strange. Oh man, this is $2.99 though, so I take that back. It's just a Jason. If it were on YouTube, I would get other people to watch it. But as I said to you guys earlier today, this is the kind of thing, instead of paying $2.99, you should get a credit for $2.99 if you can prove you sat through it.
You just tweet the guys in the production office a picture of you with the credits and everything, and they just put $3 into your PayPal account.
A $2.99 gift certificate towards a Reb Brown figure.
Get a Reb Brown hot toys.
But yeah, I can't go anywhere with Jason Todd with this one.
All right, I'm gonna go because
Do it.
I think Sean is gonna have a different opinion because
Very much so.
I'm gonna go with Bruce. This is a Jason Todd. I was just like, honest to God, I was watching this thing and I'm just like, this could be, because I'm always kind of thinking this could be one of these things that we could sit down and do a commentary for. And like I tried to like just kind of riff my way through. I stopped after 15 minutes going, I can't even. There's so much dead space in this movie. You would have to just keep going and going and
Sean,
going.
I would love to be that fly on the wall that sees Adam alone in a room doing a riff tracks with no audience.
Oh my God, man! First of all,
It's what we call Adam's everyday life, people.
But first of all, Adam, that is the worst idea ever for you.
Isn't
Because you don't write anything down. And let me tell you, having gone through that process before, it is the most writing I have ever done in my life, because I've actually had a show. I wrote for a show that's actually what we did. And it was a 15-minute long pilot for it. It is the most writing I have ever done in my life. and I know you enough to know I'll be able to BS my way through this. You cannot.
And you guys
trust
both know.
I thought about it hard, and I'm just like, I don't know that I could sit down because I just tried to just to go off the top, just be like, what kind of stuff can I come up with? And I'm just like, if I had to go and sit down and write through, like, I'd kill myself. It's no good.
And you guys know I would come up with one joke and try to use it 3 times during the movie.
Look, the Mystery Science Theater guys, I mean, they freely admit that when they first started it, they were watching those movies 20, 25 times.
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine you doing...
I barely made it through this one.
Let me go backwards for a second. I'm very proud of you for doing homework today. That is out of character for you, and I'm very proud of you for doing that. There is no way ever you are going to be able to do a commentary track that is going to be something that you will be proud of.
Challenge accepted.
Then do the homework, bub.
All right. What's your I'm so curious as to where this lays for you.
Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
This is the reason why we have the show, guys. Yeah. It's movies like this is the reason why our podcast exists. We can talk about the modern movies that are fun to talk about and break down, and we can watch these movies that I got to be honest with you, I had never watched this movie before. This is the reason why we are all here. This is a Dick Grayson. This is the best.
Oh, man.
This is not the best Captain America movie I've seen this year. I will freely admit to that. But this isn't even remotely close to the worst movie that we've seen this year. 2 weeks ago, we saw the dumbest, worst movie ever made, in my opinion, on the show.
Man, don't talk about X-Men Apocalypse that way.
I like that. I like that movie. You guys know how much I hate those turtle movies. This movie is the reason why we have this podcast. It is such a gem. Like, look, this movie, no, it's not for everybody. But if you watch The Bionic Man, if you watched, I'm sorry, not Bionic Man, $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman, Wonder Woman, and any of those style shows in the 70s or, you know, on reruns in the 80s and 90s like I did, you're going to like this show. You're going to like this movie. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. You will laugh out loud a dozen times. There is a character who literally all he does is give exposition. It is so great. I just dyed my hair
and I came in to tell you a lot of things about your father, about the situation, about the government.
That guy's got smolder, baby. He's got smolder all day. And I love this movie. I love it so much. It is a Dick Grayson.
This rat is running at the human equivalent of 900 miles an hour.
Yeah, how did you do that math, dude? But that's what makes it so great.
I'm sitting there, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm like, well, given the size and the speed of what you're saying makes no sense. It looks like as fast as any rat can run.
Look, there's no...
They didn't even speed up the film for the rat. But the strong rat did look strong. I like the strong rat.
Why is your best idea to stop a neutron bomb to give it to the hippie kid who just wants to drive around in a van and give that guy super serum so that he can stop the guy making the neutron bomb? There's no reason why that is the plot for this movie, but it is. And I love it so much.
Hey, you know that guy who basically just said he wants to be homeless for the next 2 years and walk around like a creepo in a van? Let's make him the head of all of this.
He's going to stop the bomb. It's what makes it so great.
Ugh. All right, that's it, everybody. That's our review. So you can spend $4 on the Amazon there and get both movies. So we'll be reviewing the other one at some point.
I totally want to.
And I totally wish we had.
Well, you know what they say. You gotta get through the origin story to get through the good sequels.
That's
and stuff
true.
like
it's
that.
like season 1 of Buffy. You just gotta go through it, buddy.
You're just like, this is a little amateurish, and then you're just like, no, hold on, it gets there.
It's like season 1 of Charlie's Angels. The others wouldn't make any sense if you didn't see that one first.
yes, exactly.
A has to go to B, has to go to C. Otherwise, you're lost in the woods. It's no good for anybody.
I tried jumping in on season 2, and I just kept saying, "Who's Bosley?"
Where's he at? But yeah, speaking of having to see the first one, next week we're going to be dropping Batman Begins on you. This is one that we've been talking about doing for a while and everything. It's one of the kind of more modern classics, if you will, brought 3 movies from Christopher Nolan. So we're going to break that down and do all that stuff. And guess what? It's still going to be in studio, kids. So you're going to have, another show like this.
Righteous.
So that is it. Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet this week, sir?
Chubby Wizard. Go to chubbywizard.com. It's your portal to portly prestidigitation, a show about comic books, stuff, and other magical things, including wizard puns.
Including wizard puns. Bruce or Sean, what do you have for us?
You can find me on my other podcast, the Preacher Podcast. You can reach me at Hero Movie Sean on Twitter and my YouTube channel that I haven't worked on in like a month, and I'm sorry about that.
That's all.
If you thought he was angry before,
boy,
he's coming back even gayer and angrier.
He's gayer and angrier, angry gay
than
Spider-Man.
ever before. And of course, all that stuff, Preacher Podcast, HeroMoviePodcast.com, all that kind of good stuff. My other podcast, The Film Find at thefilmfind.com. This week reviewing Central Intelligence and Finding Dory. So, seems like a not so bad idea for those things. I'm looking forward to both of them in different ways. But that's it, everybody. So next week when we talk Batman Begins, for Sean Keenan, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.